Well, hey, Diet Disruptors, Carrie here. And today I have a guest who has accomplished something that I'm going to bet you might not even realize you need to work on. Like, I think in some ways, what we're going to talk about today and what my guest Megan is going to share may be the first time you really thought about this in the way that we're going to talk about it. Because so many women come to me saying, like, I need to do something different. I need to get healthy. I need to take care of my body. But when we really dig into what we want and why we want it, it often comes down to truly the level of self-worth and self-love that we have for ourselves, not just because we want to lose a bunch of weight. And I think so often we go into a new lifestyle thinking, I just want to be healthy, and it means losing weight and learning how to eat. But what Megan learned in her whole process was that it really started with how she valued herself in this process. So, Megan, I'm so excited that you're here because I think you're going to speak to women in a whole nother level.
Thanks, Carrie. I'm excited to be here too. It's been a pretty big deal.
It really has. So one of the things I actually got to meet you, like I like to do before we work with clients in my private practice, and you, like literally, I said this to my team afterwards. You were a light, a bright, shining light, and I'm like, this girl is gonna rock it. But what I didn't know, and I don't think I even realized how like true this statement was until the end, was that you were actually battling a whole level of issues around self-worth. Can you speak
Yeah.
to us a little bit about that? Because you seemed like this bright shining light that was just so happy and like so lovely, but there was something else going on beneath the surface.
So I think we all have our things that we're good at in life, and I think that a lot of times we lean on those things, whatever they are, as a coping mechanism, excuse me, and maybe go a little too hard. And so something that I've always been good at is being delightful. I'm charming and happy, and like part of that is natural, and part of that is when you like learn, anybody that's good at organizing can become controlling, and anybody that
Mhm.
is like, I don't know, good at like athletics or something could become like too physical. I don't know, whatever it is, you can be too much. And so um I am slash was I'm a recovering people pleaser for sure,
Mhm.
and was definitely in a place when I started started working with you, that I was putting huge chunks of myself last, um and and then trying to compensate for it in ways that weren't actually helpful. So so
Like, like in
yeah.
what ways? Because I think you're speaking to like every mom out there
Oh
right
my gosh.
now.
Yes. So I'm a mom. I have three kids. Their ages 4, 7, and 9. And
You're
so
in
I'm
the
not
thick of it.
I am in the thick of it, although not quite as deep as I was when I had like a 5, a 3, and an infant.
Yep, yep,
Um,
yep.
but yes, definitely in the thick of it, and dealing with some new stuff with older kids. That
Yeah.
like my infants weren't
That will
picky about
keep
what they ate.
going. Big
Yeah,
kids, big problems, I've learned. But
that's
yes.
that's what I've heard, that it just gets different.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and I think like physically, biologically, as a mom, you have this baby, and everything in your body is telling you that this baby's survival is and happiness is like the most important thing. And in my situation, and in many people's situation, I think it's like a 12-person job, honestly, to take care of a baby.
Hmm.
And for a lot of us, we've got one, two, maybe three people that are around and are supporting and like consistently. And if you're lucky, and I was like, I've got a good community. We had meal trains. I had people showing up, but it's not like they're doing that for 5 years.
Right, right.
It's like a couple weeks.
Yep.
And so like sleep went out the window, and then food went out the window, um and I was and so what my body needed was like rest, and exercise and just space to daydream and connection. And so I was like, cool, I hear you. How about some sugar and some caffeine and some Instagram? And it just, it doesn't cut it. It's not, it's like a Band-Aid on a, on a gaping wound.
Yeah.
And so I am really fortunate and privileged to have had the time and space to do a lot of work over the last 5 or so years. I've got some good friends that are coaches, and so I had been doing a ton of work on self-awareness even before I came to you, and had learned a lot of things, but I didn't really realize how much that value, the way that I was looking my not valuing myself, applied to like my body, my physical body. And I really think our bodies are the foundation of how we experience the world. And so I would have these, amazing insights, but I still felt tired and sick at the end of every day because as I know now, like, I was not balancing my blood sugar. Mm-hmm. And in general, before having kids, I had a fairly healthy lifestyle. But yeah, I was like eating handfuls of chocolate chips trying to get myself through bedtime, just like being so exhausted all the time and reaching for sugar. Because what else can you do if you're stuck at home with like a bunch of kids? I couldn't like go out to a concert real quick to make myself feel better. Like,
right.
The pantry was the fastest thing that I could get to like, or social media or something else that was a quick fix to give myself like that dopamine high to get through. And
it was also, Megan, a physiological response, right? Totally. That you think is really about, if I could be more self-aware, if I could have more willpower, then I could be better. But at the end of the day, your body was actually talking to you.
Absolutely.
I don't think you just knew what it was saying.
Today's episode is brought to you by Zyve 7. It is time to awaken your digestion because your gut health relies on you. Everything is attached to our gut. And if our gut ain't happy, ain't nothing in our body happy. And if you are a woman who is also going through menopause, your gut health is more important than ever before. Zyve 7 is a finely tuned symphony of gut health for your daily ritual, blending nature's intelligence with scientific precision. And I have had the honor of being able to work on this product myself. So I know exactly where all the ingredients are sourced from and why the ingredients are that powerful. It is not only a digestive enzyme, but it also has protective probiotics, enzymes, prebiotics. It is your first step to improve your gut health, banish your bloating, smooth sailing every day with regularity, and stay consistent with your blood sugar levels. Go check out shopzyve.com now.
About 2 years ago, it got to a point where my body was talking loudly enough that I was like, okay, something is wrong. I started to feel really nauseous. I started to have headaches. I started to just feel like sick. And I was terrified at first that I was pregnant again. But I wasn't. And so I went to the doctor and they were like, cool, you're nauseous. Like, let's try a bland diet. And so you should eat rice and bananas and toast.
and just spike our blood sugar.
Yeah, like I mean, no offense to my doctors in there at Kaiser, and like they're trying really hard. Like doctors are amazing, and we should listen to them and trust them. But I tried that, and that was not the thing. And
they're just not trained in this.
Yeah, exactly. And that's honestly the one thing about working with you that I've really never heard anywhere else. Like everybody's talking calorie deficit, everybody's talking all of that stuff. And so I tried that for a while. I felt way worse. And I started to notice the correlation between like, oh, when I eat carbs, I feel bad. Mm-hmm. And so then I tried keto and that didn't feel good either. Mm-hmm. And
you're eliminating an entire energy source.
Yeah.
And I didn't have energy.
And I did never feel satisfied.
Right.
And so I would keep eating like high fat foods and then like quote unquote slip up and have some carbs and then feel terrible all over again. Mm-hmm. And so, and none of it felt sustainable. I tried in between my second and third kid. I joined a gym and like joined a program and was eating a lot of protein and like working out, and that felt really good in my body, but it wasn't sustainable. I
Yeah.
couldn't maintain getting up every morning at 5 a.m. and doing this intense workout and like forever.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Right.
and so I lost some weight and got stronger, and that felt great, but it didn't last.
Well, and what did you really want? Like, and why did you want it? When you go back
So
and look at it, do you think you can name that?
yeah. Well, and you guys, when I got on a call with you, asked some good questions that helped me zero in on it. Um, I I'm really fortunate in that I grew up in a family that did not emphasize my value being the way that I looked,
Mm-hmm.
being based in the way that I looked. Um, but you can't live where we live and not get that message. And so some certain percentage of my brain wanted to be like, I thought I had a good body image when my body matched what the magazine told me I was supposed to look like. And I was like, it's not about what you look like, guys. Like, it's about what's on the inside, until I didn't look like that anymore. And then it was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Am I still okay? Like,
Mm-hmm.
am I still okay when I have to buy new clothes and like nothing fits anymore? And also I'm exhausted because I'm a mom. And so I don't feel like, giving my body love or like dressing up or getting cute
Right.
or all those fun things. So I think what I wanted was a combination of both mentally wanting something, wanting to feel like I was back in the like cool kids club again of being thin.
Mm-hmm.
And then like what my heart wanted was to just feel okay in my body, like
Mm-hmm.
not by being a certain size, but just feeling good. Like I just didn't feel good ever for
And it's so
years.
interesting how we don't always associate. You're saying a few things that really make me think about this. Okay, we don't really associate the fact that when we are gaining weight, when our body is actually responding in the ways that yours was, it's telling us something.
Yeah.
And it's not like I want to sit back and say, oh, just love yourself through it. Like, yes, love yourself enough to want to show up to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
And like we often think weight gain is just an inconvenience and our body is just like we're just mad at our body. But that's
Or at our willpower, at our
yes.
choices.
Mm-hmm. And in all reality, it's like, how do we just get ourselves on the same page with our body and
Yeah.
then allow it to bring us to where it's supposed to be, not a preconceived notion of what we think it should be, and then disappointed if it doesn't get there.
So when I was on the call with you guys in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
The thing I kept saying over and over again was like, I want to feel light on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
Like I felt heavy, not in like poundage.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
I was moving slow. I felt sluggish. I just felt heavy. Everything felt hard.
Yes.
And when I started eating in a way that balanced my blood sugar, the difference, I mean, within a week, it was so fast how quickly I felt different.
It's like your body was just like, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was. And even now, I just keep learning that same lesson over and over again. I still like, I don't know. I have a major habit of mindlessly eating my kids' food.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of moms do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I've gotten a lot better. I'm still working on it. And so anytime now that I'm just like blah blah, like whatever ramen or thing that they're eating, and I eat it, and I'm just like, oh, like why?
Why did I do that? Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a, I mean, I get why, because it's a habit.
Yeah.
And I'm still working on building the new habit, but like, it's just not, it just feels gross in my body, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah. I love that. Now, when one of the things that like I know that you saw progress right away. I would get updates from your coach all the time about just how incredible you were doing. I love to hear about that. But really, at the end of your first 3 months, you reassessed a measure that we use
Mhm.
around self-love. And you know, I know that what we do with women and how I work with women or how I work with health bros to work with their clients is cutting out the clarity in or getting to the clarity and cutting out all the confusion when it comes to food and all the things that you tried and figuring out why it didn't work. And all of that is actually the easy part,
Right.
right? It's like once we actually clear that confusion out, we get to the real root of what we need to be thinking about to truly be healthy. And our value, our self-worth, like you said, when you started gaining some weight, you were like, wait, like now I'm questioning whether or not I did have like where my self-esteem was and where my self-love was. And I
Yeah.
also think that in some ways, when we are going through this journey of self-discovery, it's like we don't remember always what it feels like to feel good. And then when we
Mhm.
do, it's like uh, you start being like a little reflective on who you are, what you're doing, because you suddenly feel like I can take on the world. And now, like, what do I want to do? You know?
Yes. Yeah.
So you took a self-love assessment when you first started, and
Hmm.
then 3 months later, you took another one. So let's talk about what those results ended up being.
So the self-love assessment, what blew my mind, of all the things that we did during that first week, that was the thing that I was like, oh my gosh, I sent pictures of it to my friends. I was like, this is incredible. Because I had not, as my charming, happy, positive self, I spent a lot of time saying nice things to myself, but I didn't realize how much I had never defined the way the self assessment looks, for people that haven't seen it, is that there's like this column on the left side of what it looks like to love yourself in a particular way, and then a column on the right side of like what not loving yourself looks like. And there were just like over and over again all these descriptions of what the negative side was. I was like, whoa, I do that all the time, and I never thought about that. Like I never thought about that as something that I was doing to knock myself down. And so I actually had relatively high scores on the positive side,
Mhm.
but the negatives were adding up so much that
Isn't that interesting? Like
yeah.
you've gone through a lot of like coaching and
Hmm.
self-awareness work where you're increasing that self-love, but I think a lot of times we don't think about the things that we do that almost like take away from that without even realizing it. So
Absolutely.
what were some of the things that you were doing
Oh,
that you didn't even realize?
so the one that hit the hardest, and this was in the self-care category, I think, and the self-care category was worst. That was the one where
Yeah.
the negative stuff was higher than the positive, and so I had a score of like -6 or something. um the one that hit the hardest was numbing activities, participating in a lot of numbing activities like eating, social media, like I forget what all the other ones were, but I just looked at it and was like, oh my God, how many
Mhm.
minutes of my day am
Yes.
I trying to escape my life?
Hmm. Yep. And I think we do this in a variety of ways, that glass of wine in the evening,
Yes.
you know, sometimes even working out. Again, it's always about like what we do and why we do it, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you have young kids and you go to the gym, I know I actually had a family member that would go to the gym every single day and it was under the guise of being healthy, but really it was an escape away from home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep. Yep.
And so to I think the most valuable thing out of, other than the, like you said, the information about how to eat differently, which like you said is the easy part, and that I needed that foundation.
Yep.
But I think the most valuable thing that I did in the time that I spent with you is just doing something every day. The
Hmm.
noticing, the fact, every day for 3 months I was paying attention.
Yes.
And I think if you pay attention to anything every day for 3 months, you're going to see big changes.
Hmm. What
And
you water grows, right?
yeah, absolutely. And so for me, there was a pretty huge domino effect of, um, a lot of stuff that you taught in your program lined up really well with skills I already had and tools I already knew. but the physical aspect was what was really missing. That it's like, cool, I can be self-aware that I'm heading to the pantry for this emotional, like, support of chocolate chips. Like, I know I'm doing it right now, but my body was in such a cycle of blood sugar highs and lows that
Yes. It
what
didn't matter if
it
you were
didn't
like
matter.
aware,
Yeah,
your body, you were still gonna go do it,
I'm
right?
gonna go eat it. Like,
My
what else?
my husband brought home gummy bears from Germany, and he brought home a big bag of them.
Oh
And
no.
German gummy bears don't have exactly all the same garbage that American gummy bears do.
Yeah.
So it was like it's my kryptonite, but it was also like my excuse, right? I finally,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like I was, and I'm working, my blood sugar is balanced almost all the time, but I was like having so many gummy bears throughout the day as a way to like, reward myself that it was amazing how my cravings and my lack of willpower just like toppled over each other. And I'm like, who
Yeah.
is this woman that I don't even recognize? I had to throw out the gummy bears because I'm like, I clearly am like I had to look at like what am I doing? Like what am I
Yeah.
doing to myself? Like Carrie, you love yourself way too much to be putting yourself through this. And but it's crazy how as much as I know, my body's physiology can shift very quickly if I am using using food in
Yeah.
that way.
And
And it's crazy.
it's crazy. And one of my again, the like, something I do well is I'm flexible, I'm adaptable. It's not hard to give myself grace most of the time. But that meant that I gave myself grace all the way into gaining 50 pounds
Mhm.
because it was just like, well, I'm just going to get through this bedtime. Like, I'm just going to do this, I'm just going to do this. And no shame. I have nothing but compassion for myself. I was doing the absolute best that I could with what I had available to me.
Yeah.
But I really appreciate, and I personally needed more of the mindset of like, Megan, you love yourself too much to eat the crusts off your child's toast when you know that gluten doesn't make you feel good. Like,
Mhm.
can we save it for, some fantastic dessert later as an appreciation meal? Like, why are you eating the crusts that you cut off your daughter's toast? It's not your word. I'm bad. Like, I don't deserve that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you wouldn't let your kids do some of the things that we allow ourselves to do. And
Totally.
it's like, it's the whole 1% incline or decline. Like it takes 1% a day to just work. Like you were saying, like when you showed up for yourself every day in some way, you noticed
Mm-hmm.
more. And the change is gradual where it was so much where when you did your self-love assessment at the end, I mean, you were like positive 84 points or something when you were
Yeah,
negative
it was
40.
huge.
Yeah.
I had a score of 25 the first time I did it, and it was like 115 or something at the end.
And
And it
that
was
was like you were so shocked because you didn't see it happen all at once.
no,
You
I
saw
couldn't
that
believe it.
little incline every day, but the 1% decline works exactly the same way. It's
Mm-hmm.
actually it's easier because all you have to do is numb. All you have to do is disengage. All you have to do is go with what you feel versus what you
Yeah,
know. All you have to do is not really have a very big why. And you can easily get into that 1% decline every
it's
day.
true. And you also don't notice until all of a sudden,
How'd I get here?
yeah, what happened?
Right. Exactly, exactly. So the takeaways that I'm hearing from you is that being having knowledge, and you've had a lot of knowledge over the years, is very different than application and
Mm-hmm.
actually doing the things, showing up for yourself in one way. That you've got to do it in a way that you can be sustainable. And
Yes.
while, I mean, a busy mom of three kids, sure, like get yourself to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning every day sounds like, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, let's talk practicality wise. You might be able to do that in a few years, but maybe not today.
Yeah.
But there's got to be other ways that you can still be able to adjust and show up. And the impact of self love is the next thing I just want you to be able to kind of leave us with. Because I started off talking about the fact that I think a lot of women don't even realize that they need this part of the equation. We keep looking for the meal plan. We keep looking for the right diet. We keep looking for the thing, the magical piece. And in all
Mm-hmm.
reality, the food piece is the easy piece.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of women realize how important the growth is that you just had. I mean, you've improved and seen success in so many ways, but I'm honing in on this because I don't think a lot of women realize how powerful and important it is. So what was the impact of really learning how to love yourself more?
I think I think the most powerful thing is having it as evidence. So the way that I am currently working on loving myself right now is focusing on strength training.
Nice.
Which I didn't really pick up until the end of my 3 months with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time, and the reason that I didn't really pick it up was because every time I looked at it in the portal, I was like, oh my God, like that's a lot. Like that's a lot of exercise and I don't know how to do it. And like that looks hard and I don't have the stuff and just like blah. And so, but my coach encouraged me and I was like, I'm just going to join a gym because I know I need that That's worked for me in the past.
Yep.
She was like, what, maybe just try it though. Like just try it out once. And I was like, all right, at least I'll just try the warm-ups. And so I just did the warm-up exercises and that was all.
Yep.
And you don't need any equipment for that. And it felt really good. Like it felt really good in my body. And so when you do the thing, however small,
yes,
and it feels good, your brain wants more of that, right? Like in either a positive or negative direction. And so my body was like, yes, please. And I was like, oh, all right. And
especially if it's tiny and it doesn't feel like that big of a lift.
So tiny. Like I would never hand my 4-year-old 100-pound weight to lift. Like, why would you do that? I would never put her behind the driver's seat in my car.
Yeah.
Like and I think that's something that our culture does not teach us very well. We're all like, go for the gold. Like we're gonna, like reach high. And it's so great to dream big and like reach far and everything. But like, we're going to dream big and we're going to start small.
Oh, I love that, Megan. And that analogy of you would never put your toddler in the driver's seat makes so much sense.
Right. And yet I expect myself every January 1st to be like, here we go. I'm going to overhaul my entire, I'm going to get my capsule wardrobe and I'm going to like get this new planner and I'm going to try this new diet and this is all going to fix everything. It's like, no, just pick one thing. Let's do one thing. And so I'm actually not like, you have your amazing Worthy book study. I'm not doing it because I'm doing strength training and that's all I'm just doing one thing at a time because that's all I can handle. But now a month, 2 months later after starting, I'm doing the full routine. I've got the bands and everything and I'm feeling like a total boss because I'm like lifting 100 pounds and it feels really great.
All because you decided to do a warm up.
Yeah, just the warm up. And for a long time, that's all I did. That was all I had to do each day was just do literally each exercise once. I didn't even do them 10 times in a row like he said you're supposed to. I just did each one once.
Yep.
But then, yeah, so that's I think a really amazing way to love yourself is to love yourself enough to set aside pride and start small.
Super. So good, Megan. You're so inspirational. You're such a light. You're effervescent. And now I feel like it's really truly like not just a coping mechanism or not just the personality that you go to, but it really is you.
It's always been me in there. It's just learning. It's just learning to be like, oh, this isn't the only thing that I can use.
Yes.
Right. There are other things that I can do and we can take a breath and we can like let things be hard for a minute.
Yep. One thing I'll leave with that I just thought was so impressive with you is because you've done such an incredible job and we have had, all of our coaches and even the coaches that I've trained to build their own brands all started off, as some sort of a client or with a story of struggle and they've realized how this approach has changed their lives. And so I brought that up to you. And one of my favorite answers I've ever gotten from anyone was when you said, nope, that's not for me. But I really appreciate the trust and the belief in me. And there's something else, but that's not it. And I was like, if we know how to say no to the things, I mean, I don't think I've ever had anybody that I've asked say that to me before because they were just so excited that I asked, right? And got like it really wasn't part of what they necessarily thought about before, but I planted that seed and they're like, yes. And you were self-aware enough and loved yourself enough to say no. And I think that's another big piece of the puzzle that you reminded me of, and I want to make sure others are reminded of as well.
Yeah. You know what that is that I'm really one of the other things that I started to learn by paying attention every day for 3 months was what things cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I've learned that the best thing that I can do for myself each week is prep grab and go veggies. Like, I've learned that all the other stuff, I'll figure it out. Like, it's not hard for me to hack together a healthy meal in other ways. But what I am not going to do when I am tired or in a rush is chop celery.
Yes.
And so I've learned that if I don't protect my meal prep time on Saturday mornings, I'm setting myself up for a whole week of not feeling quite as great because I'm not going to have the stuff that I need.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, like, then I learned that, like, okay, I love to just like chillax on a Saturday morning and like my kids are all watching cartoons and this is my time to just like kick back. But actually, it's not the value. I'm not getting the same amount of rest out of that time of being lazy on a Saturday morning that I would get out of spending that hour chopping vegetables, because that's going to set me up for rest the whole rest of the week because I'm going to be well prepared. And so
the cost of resting on Saturday morning was way too expensive.
Exactly. Exactly. It's expensive the rest of the week. And so then I'm going to be catching up and like, you know, maybe I'll have my balanced meal, but I'm not going to have those like awesome veggies that are really helping me feel good and like making me feel full and satisfied and like keeping everything, you know. And so I am learning that in other ways too, of the cost of saying yes to volunteering at things. It's like, oh, it's so important to me to volunteer and take care of my community, but I can't just say yes to everything. Like, what's the cost?
Yes. Yes. And I love looking at cost outside of just finances, right? Because I will say the cost of not investing in yourself can be much, much higher. But you're talking about cost in a whole nother way. The cost of saying yes to everything, showing up for everyone, actually has a much more expensive price tag than sometimes saying no so that you can be around for longer and better.
Yeah. So I love this thought. One of my previous coaches said, like, let your calendar look like a high-end art gallery. There should be plenty of space around everything.
Oh, I am going to use that.
I love it. And so when you talk about worth, if you think about it, in an art gallery, in a museum, even in a clothing store, right? The more space there is, the higher value the items are. You don't see a Van Gogh like all shoved together with a whole bunch of other stuff like at Ross.
Yep. And so, like, when sometimes I'll walk into a store and I'm like, okay, this has got to be expensive because there's like 5 things on the rack.
Right? Yeah, there's like 3 shirts on every rack. Like,
right. Like, where's all this stuff? Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that so much, Megan. That is like gold for people to be able to recognize.
So give yourself space.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
The cost of saying yes to everything is you don't have any space. If you're rushing from everything to everything. And then again, when you don't value yourself and you said yes to too much, then what's going to be the first thing that goes? The stuff that benefits you.
Yep. That actually allows you to show up for others in the long run.
Right. On 100%. And when I am well rested, well fed, and like have had space during the day while my kids are at school, I show up in a completely different way for my kids.
100%. I love this so much. You are sharing so many amazing nuggets for not just moms, but for anybody out there to be able to learn how to love themselves enough to be able to show up in a very intentional way, not just at 5 o'clock in the morning at the gym.
Yeah. Right.
Right. You're the best. I'm so glad that we are connected, that we stay connected, and that you're a part of our family. And so just appreciate you and the time that you're taking in your busy life to be able to work with us and to share your story. You're the best, Megan. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.